Hello, guys. How are we doing today? Oh, let me close the door real quick. Dun, 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 dun. And let me get my chat up really quick. Sorry, we're just waking up. Well, I've been waking up. I've been awake for a couple hours already, but we're just getting our morning started. Do the go live, and I'm getting the chat up right now. I don't have you guys. Hi! Oh, I can see you guys in the overlays though. Hello. How was your guys' holiday? Popping out. All right, I'm ready. I'm ready. Hi, Mariah. How are you doing today? Hello, hello. Thank you so much for waiting. Hi, Paul. Hey, Taxi. Good evening from Germany. Hello, hello. Okay, I'm getting all of my stuff. This should be good. Put this here. Hi, lady. Excuse me. How's it going? I was like, oh my God, I hope I don't get the flu. I hope I don't get sick. But so far we're doing good. We're doing okay. Let me just do all of my scenes correctly. And we should be... All right. So look at who we got coming into court today. We got JODI Hildebrand. Now, roughly about a week ago, Ruby Frankie also had a court appearance as well. It was a waiver hearing where they were essentially going to, well, take a plea deal. They were going to waive having a preliminary preliminary hearing. Sorry. Let me just clear my throat really quick. And I'll start that over. You just took down Christmas? All of my Christmas decorations are up right now. My Christmas tree is up right now as well. My friends that are staying over, they're like, oh, well, it feels like it's still Christmas. I'm like, yeah, we'll take the decorations out like in a week. I don't know. When do you guys take down your Christmas decorations? I leave them up until next year. Did I tell you guys about there's this house that I found that put up their Christmas light decorations outdoor in the beginning of October? They were like, you know what? We're skipping Halloween. We're skipping Thanksgiving and it's Christmas right now. I don't give a fuck. So we're like driving around and we're like, why is there Christmas decorations out? It was so funny. I wonder if the neighbors were like pissed. Because, you know, sometimes when you go into a Target and it's like holiday season right now, it's Christmas. And then like at Target, it's already like Valentine's Day decorations. You're just like, okay, I feel so out of place. Like, why am I here? Get me out of here. Oh, hi, Sherry. Wait, Sherry, you're joining us on Twitch today? Hello. Hi, Leela. Hi, Stephanie. After the new year. Yep. January 1st, I'm like, we're clearing out everything. We're getting rid of the tree. Bye. Get rid of everything. But right now, my Christmas tree is like extra crispy. So I think if we move the Christmas tree, it's going to be a huge mess. It's extra crispy right now. You have to run off to work. Bye. Did you watch JODI yet? Not yet. Not yet. We have not watched JODI yet. She's on my screen. I got her right here. I was just doing my intro and then I got, I started choking a little bit. Hi, I don't have decorations. That is what I might do. I don't know. I might do that because I feel like putting all the decorations out, it just sits there for like a month or two. Like, let's say you start like before Thanksgiving, it sits there for 2 months and then you're taking it all down. Like, I don't know. And then like storing it is a hassle. It's annoying. We have someone in our neighborhood that left up the Halloween and just added Christmas. Okay, so like maybe like Nightmare Before Christmas vibes. Christmas decorations, they go down early, January with me. I don't believe there even exists an official date for that. Listen, there are some people who are just lazy or maybe they just love Christmas so much that they leave their decorations up until like the end of January. So I've definitely seen people do that. And I don't have a problem with that. I'm like, you know what? Keep the Christmas spirit up. Let's do it. But Sherry, thanks for popping in. Watch the VOD later or we'll have the video up. I always take it down quick because the longer I wait, the longer it takes me. Here in Michigan, oh my God. Okay, I was rocking the raspy voice for a little bit. I don't know. Am I gonna get sick? Oh my God, I hope not. Are you okay? I don't know. My throat is like, I think it's just like all the morning stuff, you know, it's just kind of like settling right now and it's not sounding good.
My life is a sad joke.
Hi, Crosby. How are you doing today? Thank you for the resub for tier 2, 66 months. How's it going? How are the bubbies? You were sick. It's going around L like, no, please. I don't want to get sick. How are you feeling? Is it like really bad symptoms? All right, guys, I'm sorry. Let me start over the let me start over the intro. Okay, so today we have Jodi Hildebrandt's hearing, and similar to Ruby Franke's hearing last week, it's a waiver hearing. So they're essentially waiving to have a preliminary hearing where the state goes over the evidence, and then like the defense will have a time to cross-examine some of the witnesses that they have on there, but they're waiving that. So we were like, well, maybe there's a plea deal going on. That's what a lot of people were speculating, and lo and behold, that is what happened in Ruby Franke's situation. Initially, she was charged with 6 counts of, well, child abuse, and it went down to 4 instead because she's doing a plea deal where she said that she's agreeing to serve, prison time. There's not an amount yet because, the judge doesn't determine that. The prosecutor doesn't determine that. Interestingly enough, you guys remember Corey Richins? Corey Richins' attorney, Sky Lazaro, I think is her name. She did an interview with one of the true crime channels, and she was talking about how the judge doesn't determine what the sentencing is, or the sentencing is not determined by the judge or by the prosecutor. It's actually determined by like the Utah probation offices. So we don't know how many, what they're gonna get, but I know like a max would be like 60 years for Ruby Franke's situation. I think probably for Jodi Hildebrandt as well. But sorry, I went a little off trails there. But Ruby Franke essentially, she agreed to also testify against Jodi Hildebrandt. And so we're like, well, it's kind of interesting how Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt, they didn't have the same court date hearing, but essentially it's the same thing. It's a waiver hearing. So we're like, well, is Ruby Franke going to testify? And like, is Jodi Hildebrandt, is she going to go to trial? Like, what's going on here? Or will Jodi Hildebrandt also be giving a plea deal as well? Because, I can see why a plea deal would be something that the prosecutors want to go for in this case, especially when it regards like, child abuse, because you kind of want to spare the child of having to go up there and testify against, either if it's like the mom or like testifying like an auntie or like someone that they know. So like, it's kind of like re-traumatizing on them all over again. And imagine being in a court setting where, you're being cross-examined by the defense team, and it's hard, because like, have you guys seen the one with Zachariah Anderson? So he's the man who's accused of murdering his his baby mama's like boyfriend, right? And his daughter had to go up there and testify, and it was just, she was like a teenager, and as a teenager, you're up there testifying pretty much against your dad, and it's tough, it's hard. And the defense, sometimes they're not going to go easy on you just because you're a kid. They're going to try to get their client off the fucking charge. So, I could see why the state is pushing to just have both these women do a plea deal. But we're going to watch Jodi Hildebrandt. She's in court right now. She doesn't look very happy. And, I did this off stream, but we looked at the allegations made against Jodi and Ruby Franke. And, part of the plea deal, Ruby Franke did say that like, okay, well, I participated in these type of activities, and reading about it, they were pretty fucking bad. Initially I was just like, maybe, I don't know, maybe like, I didn't know to the extent of it. Maybe Jodi had control of the kids, the household. Maybe Ruby Franke was like out in town doing her own thing. And like, maybe Jodi's like, hey, you know what? I'll take care of your kids. I got this. Don't have to worry about anything. But then when we find out that Ruby Franke was actually participating in these horrible, disgusting activities as well, I don't know if I really buy that it's all Jodi Hildebrandt's doing. Although, yes. The sound effect. Go Lucky. Hey, thank you so much for gifting 10 subs. I appreciate it. Thank you. How are you? Happy holidays. If you guys got a gifted sub in Twitch from Go Lucky, make sure to give them a huge big hug and a huge thank you. Hi Neko, how are you doing today? How's it going? So even though Jodi Hildebrandt may be the architect behind this entire thing, but Ruby Franke was still participating in it. So her saying that like, oh, I was manipulated by this older woman and I don't know if I really super buy that, but I am glad that there is a plea deal because, it spares the kids from having to go there and testify. So we're going to watch Jodi Hildebrandt. She's coming to court right now. And this actually happened about an hour ago. And because this thing wasn't live stream, I was just waiting for the footage to come up. And once it's up, then we can watch it together. So hello, wait, you can't see me? Hi. Before I do that, let me just scroll up really quick and read your guys' comments. Oh, did you guys watch any good Christmas movies? There's 2 that I watched that I really like. One was There's one with Eddie Murphy, and it actually takes place in LA, and it's about like this like neighborhood that does like, they go ham on the Christmas decorations, and there's a competition, and he was trying to win like $100,000. But I don't know, it was really good. I really liked it. And then the second Christmas movie that I watched is called Violent Night. It's a very gory Christmas movie, but it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I feel like it does have Die Hard vibes. You had the Elaine voice for a little while. Yeah, it happens. You know, it be happening. Sometimes I have the Elaine mic off as well. I am picturing, wait, sorry, I just scrolled a little too fast. There's so much evidence with all the CPS calls, etc. Ruby versus Jodi. Victor moves on, face Jesse, aka Eye Drop Lady. The Eye Drop Lady, I heard she was like an aspiring lawyer. Did she end up not taking the bar or something? Or did she end up not like practicing? Like what? I heard that she was like trying to be a lawyer, and I'm like, I don't know, this is wild. Crazy. Candy Cane Lane. Yes, that's what it's called. Candy Cane Lane. Yeah, Candy Cane Lane was really good. That's the one with Eddie Murphy. Thanks, Lemon Baked. And then Violent Nights is, I think the guy from Stranger Things, the cop dude, I think he's the Santa Claus in it. I think it's him. But it was very gory. I liked it. There's blood everywhere. And there's a scene where some guy got like a star shoved ornament in his eye. And it was glorious. I love Violent Night. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The Grinch with Jim Carrey's all-time favorite. Now, the only reason why The Grinch with Jim Carrey makes me cringe a little bit, because I heard behind the scenes he had to wear these enormous, very uncomfortable contact lens that gave his eyes like the yellow look, I think, right? The jaundice look. And apparently those are really, really painful to wear. So I'm like, oh, every time I see him in the Grinch outfit, I just imagine how uncomfortable it would be to wear these like enormous contact lenses in your eyes. All right. So, oh, you know what? I was on the 7 Passengers. It was like a Reddit page, and someone actually read the sample of JODI Hildebrandt's book. And I kind of want to read it a little bit, because it goes into JODI Hildebrandt's background. And I feel like things are starting to make sense to me, because it seems like she might have like a hatred towards maybe like men in general, men, boys, because of things that happened to her. And I don't know. I'm like starting to think that like, okay, maybe this is why she always targets like the men in the family or like the boys in the family, and try to like isolate them or punish them and shame them. Because apparently in the book, she revealed that she was I think like essayed by a neighborhood kid when she was like 2 years old. And it's also like, well, how did that happen? Like, you're 2 years old, like, where's your parents? And then also like later on, when her family members invited like one of like the boys to like stay in her house, like she was also essayed by them as well when she was like I think like maybe like 7 to 8 years old. So like maybe that's what like slowly built her hatred towards like guys in general, men. And apparently all this was suppressed until she went to like, I don't know if it's like some sort of like a retreat camp or something, but some sort of thing that she went to when she was 21 years old. And they did some sort of like maybe like therapy on her, where like all these suppressed memories came out. So I don't know. I'm just like, things are starting to maybe make sense. Things are starting to click, because, you know, it seems like maybe there's a reason why she just has like a hatred towards certain groups of people. Hi, Misdemeanor. How are you doing today? Hello. Yeah, no, it's not like, I'm not looking for excuses. I'm just looking to see what the hell happened to her. Like, what makes a person do this? Because, being involved in harming a child, that takes a very different type of person that a lot of us will never fucking understand. And I just want to know, how the fuck did she get there? And Ruby Frankie as well. Like Ruby Frankie, we already kind of thought that she was already like slowly moving towards that direction because of the things that she was putting out on the internet about, her bragging about taking the beds away from her children, taking the doors or something like that, not feeding them, not, letting them get fed until the chores are done, like just weird things like that. And she was putting that on the internet. So I always want to kind of like, it's not like I want to make excuses for them. I just want to understand, like, how the fuck did they get here? Because it's just wild to me. It's crazy. Oh, I appreciate that, misdemeanor. So let's do this. Let's start. Men are the worst? Nah, man. It could be either way. It could go either motherfucking way. I mean, because right now, you know, I feel like a lot of the cases that I've been covering, a lot of them are female criminals. I actually have a playlist of female criminals because I always find them, I don't know why, but like I always found them like the most interesting. I think it's because like a lot of like the crimes like that are committed by men, it's mostly like, oh, jealousy, control issues, you know, like, oh, I don't want my wife doing this. I don't want my wife to leave me. Or it's like, you know, in like a nasty, like kind of like in a situation where you're like, I don't know, like a what's it called? What's the word that I'm looking for? Like, you know, when you're like when like two guys like kind of like for example like road rage incidents, right? Where it's just like basically like who has like the bigger. Corey, I was saying Jodi's giving. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think who's giving excuses? Ruby Frankie. I think Ruby Frankie's saying that like, oh, I was controlled by Jodi. Like Jodi manipulated me. That to me, I think is excuses because I'm like, come on now, like you were participating in it as well. It's showed in the plea deal document. But sorry, I was just going back to like why I thought female criminals are more interesting. Because I feel like the crimes that they commit are like a little more intricate. And it's not just like, oh, you know, who has like the bigger dick energy, or like, oh, you know, I don't want my wife to leave me, or like, you know, things like that. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of these like female criminals are like a lot more interesting sometimes, mostly to me. Anyways, okay, so let's watch this. Let's do this. Sorry, it's been a while. It's been a while, okay? It's been a while since I've streamed. Words are hard today. All right, guys. So we have Jodi Hildebrand today. This is by Law and Crime. Huge shout out to them for always posting all these videos. They got it titled Ruby Frankie's business partner Jodi Hildebrand throws in towel, pleads guilty to child. I'm gonna boost the audio up. I wonder who she's looking for in the courtroom. Do you think she has any family members there supporting her? Anyone, any members of her church there? It looks like she's like scanning the room right now. She looks perplexed. Oh, wow. Good morning. Any love readers? Jodi, she kind of looks pissed. You see like the furrowing of the eyebrows. Like I'm not a body analyst or anything like that, but I mean, I'm noticing like this, you know, like she's kind of like, oh, fuck, man. Pissed, worried, scared. And, you know, I wonder if she's been doing a lot of like self-reflection with, because, you know, there were some other people that came out that said like, hey, I'm a victim of Jodi Hildebrand. She used these like, you know, therapy tactics against me, you know, when I was in a relationship or when I was a kid. And I wonder if she had some introspection done while she was sitting there in fucking jail. And, you know, she was like, man, maybe I did fuck up. Man, maybe I was wrong. Or if she's just like, nope, I was right. Fuck these people. And you know what? I'm going to take this plea deal because I don't want to be sitting in jail for like 100 years. Paul says, little judgmental on my part, but I thought she was looking for the camera. To me, I thought she was just scanning the room to see if like she recognizes anyone. Hi, Chip's dad. How are you doing today? Anyone recognize her lawyer? Do you think she looks more sorrel than Ruby did? I kind of wish it would stop bouncing around a little bit. You caught her live? Yes, you did. Hi. She knows she's screwed. I'm just getting a lot of really mixed emotions. I wonder though, do you think that it's possible that JODI HILDEBRANT wasn't going to take a plea deal until she heard that Ruby Franke took a plea deal and then afterwards agreed to testify against her? Because I always thought it was interesting that JODI HILDEBRANT's date was about a week after Ruby Franke's. So like maybe they thought, like, hey, you know, it seems like there are victims coming out, speaking out against JODI HILDEBRANT as her being, you know, essentially the mastermind behind all this. And you know what, let's work a deal with Ruby Franke because maybe, you know, she's less culpable. And we'll work it out with Ruby Franke and then we'll try to get JODI HILDEBRANT to, you know, possibly even take a plea deal as well. Because, you know, I just thought like the timing of everything was really interesting. Because maybe JODI wasn't planning to. Maybe JODI's like, no, I'm going to trial. I'm going to win this. I didn't do anything wrong. Maybe she didn't expect Ruby Franke to turn against her. Corey, did you hear about the Louisville police beverage slurring case? No, I did not. You're going to say it? JODI's a loser? Her lawyers are from the Mormon community. What I hear are very, very expensive lawyers. I think I heard people saying that as well, but I don't recognize him. Ruby had the upper hand in the case after her first hearing was before JODI's. I wonder how JODI feels about Ruby. Do you think she feels like Ruby betrayed her?
All rise. The district court in Washington County, State of Utah, now in session. The Honorable John J. Walton presiding. You may be seated.
Oh, no caption, sorry.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to District Court. We are here this morning in the matter of State of Utah versus JODI HILDEBRANT, case 231501763. Mr. Clark and Mr. Shum are here representing the state of Utah, and Mr. Terry is here with Ms. HILDEBRANT. We are scheduled for a waiver of preliminary hearing. Mr. Terry, it appears you have just handed the court a signed plea agreement.
That is correct, Your Honor. With respect to the waiver, Ms. HILDEBRANT, we have had discussions. She fully understands the purpose of a preliminary hearing, what the burden of proof would be, and that she has the right to a preliminary hearing, but in conjunction with the entry of her plea today, we waive the preliminary hearing.
And in fact, there is a provision in the written plea agreement that operates as a waiver of the preliminary hearing. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like looking at her face and like, it's just a lot of, I don't know, I'm just sensing a lot of like anger, contention.
Ms. HILDEBRANT, I've been handed a written document, a plea agreement with your signature on it. Did you sign that document?
Yes.
And you did that to represent to the court that you have read the document carefully, that you understand what you've read, that you agree to all of the terms that are set forth in that written document?
Yes, sir.
You've had sufficient time to ask Mr. Terry any questions that you have about the agreement or its potential effect?
Yes.
Is anyone pressuring you to enter into this agreement, or is anyone promising you anything that I haven't been told about or that is not in the written document?
No.
Are you under the influence of alcohol or drugs today?
No.
Is there anything today that could interfere in any way with your ability to understand the agreement, its potential consequences?
No.
No physical condition, mental health, or emotional condition, nothing that could interfere with your present ability to evaluate the agreement and decide if it's what you're prepared to do today?
No.
You don't need more time, you're ready to go.
Yes.
Any further record, counsel?
Your Honor, the agreement contains a factual basis. There are a few details in the factual basis that we are not in full agreement with. However, this is a guilty plea. It is not an Alford plea. The factual basis sets forth facts that we agree with, that Ms. HILDEBRANT agrees with. that are sufficient for the court to accept her plea with respect to the 4 counts.
A little interesting there. So the lawyer is saying, well, in the plea agreement, there are some facts on there that we don't agree to. But we're only going to agree to it because we know if we don't agree to it, the court might not accept it. And, the state prosecutor, they probably want us to accept this. So a little interesting there, because I don't think Ruby Frankie's lawyer said that during her hearing. She's essentially saying that, there's some things in there that's not true. But, we're just going to accept it just because the court's going to otherwise probably not accept our plea agreement.
That's
what I'm hearing.
We agree with, that Ms. Hildebrand agrees with, that are sufficient for the court to accept her plea with respect to the 4 counts to which she is pleading guilty. And so we ask the court to accept her plea agreement.
Are you allowed to do that? I thought that I don't know anything about this, right? But I thought when you accept a plea deal, you have to accept everything in that document as true, where it's you can't just accept it just because for the sake of just having a plea agreement and having a better outcome for your sentencing, right? I thought it has to you have to agree that it's all factually true, because what if later on she's you know what, I accept a plea deal, but there are some things in there that I didn't even do. I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't do this, and that. She could just go on later on saying that she didn't do X, Y, and Z and still try to prove her innocence on some of the things.
Apart from what is in the written factual base in the plea agreement, you have, I'm assuming, reviewed voluminous discovery. You don't dispute whether there is an actual or an adequate factual basis.
We do not.
Kayla says the plea agreement mentions Jodi made EF jump into the cactus multiple times, which wasn't a part of Ruby's. I don't remember it being in Ruby's. Do you know where that document is? I've been refreshing different Twitters and stuff like that, so I'm trying to look for it. Where is that posted so I can look at it? So I'm going to go back a little bit.
Voluminous factual base in the plea agreement, you have, I'm assuming, reviewed voluminous discovery. You don't dispute whether there is an actual or an adequate factual basis.
We do not.
All right.
Okay, so there's an
Anything
adequate.
else before the court receives Ms. Hildebrandt's pleas?
No, Your Honor.
Nothing for the state, Your Honor.
Then, Ms. Hildebrandt, how do you plead to count 1, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
And to count 3, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
To count 5, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
And to count 6, also aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
The court finds that there is a sufficient factual basis. The court, in addition, finds that Ms. Hildebrandt's pleas are made knowingly and voluntarily. The court therefore accepts and enters those pleas, dismisses the remaining 2 counts. We are anticipating a PSI, although part of the plea agreement appears to be that Ms. Hildebrandt will not contest a prison sentence.
Correct.
Is that right?
If I remember correctly, PSI stands for, I think, pre-sentencing investigation, I guess, where they'll, outline everything, and I guess the probation is going to determine what they think the sentencing is appropriate for her situation. There's another comment that I wanted to make, but I forgot. Why do we give a plea deal? Seriously, no one that hurts a child should be offered a plea deal. I can see why they did this, because having the children to go up there and testify against their abusers, and they're pretty young children, it's pretty fucking traumatic. Let's say that by the time the trial does happen, they could be entering in their early teens, maybe, but that's still a tough thing to do. You're going up there, you're testifying, in front of the judge, in front of you guys, when you guys were in school, was public speaking ever an issue for you guys? Even though you knew the topic, you knew the subject, you did a really good job, knowing the topic really well and all that stuff. But then when you're up there presenting, you're just oh fuck, this is the hardest thing ever. Imagine being up there in front of all these adults, a whole gallery of people. And then, although you have the state prosecutor who's seemingly on your side, but then when the defense goes up there and starts questioning you, that's pretty fucking hard. I think even for adults, a lot of adults will choke up when they're up there on the stand. It's a very tough and nervous thing to do. So, to have to spare the children from all that, I think it's good. I think it's good to do that. But it doesn't mean that Jodi's going to get we actually don't know. I think Ruby Frankie, honestly, I could see her getting between 4 to 8 years, possibly. Jodi Hildebrandt, maybe 5 to 10 years. I don't know. Even though they're facing max, both of them, 60 now, because they both are pleading guilty to 4 counts, which holds up to 15 years max each, 1 to 15 years.
Right?
Right? Yeah, the Tim Ferritter one was like, oh my God, this judge. The moment the judge talked about Tim Ferritter being in, was it the Marine or something like that? You can tell there was a connection there where the judge was like, oh yeah, Tim Ferritter. Sorry, this is the boy in the box case where we watched the sentencing recently. And the judge connected with Tim Ferritter based on his background history of military background. And he was like, I can see that someone who, kind of like went through this, has like a really tight ship, has a very like no nonsense attitude. And like, I don't know. I'm just like, what? Like, there's a difference between being strict and there's a difference between just straight up just abusing your child. Like, no, it's not just him being strict. It's not just him being frustrated that the child, won't listen to him. It's just like, there are so many other ways that he could have done other things that doesn't resort to locking up your child in a box with a bucket for a toilet for up to 18 hours a day, controlling his food, controlling the AC, controlling the lighting, like all that stuff. Like that is just wild to me. But yeah, I don't know. After the Timothy Ferritter case, I'm just like, oh God, do people just like not care? Like, I don't know. I didn't like it at all. But anyways, sometimes it happens. Mariah, thank you so much for the 4 months anniversary, dear dude. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Mariah. I appreciate it. Thank you for your support. Oh, link to the Discord. Yeah. Here you go. And then it should be in the video description as well, but whatever's easier for you. And the judge still apologized to people supporting Tim. I was at less in the middle. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it happened. But the thing is, I didn't watch the entirety of the trial. I watched bits and pieces of it, so maybe there's something that I missed, but I don't know. Based on what I saw, the whole thing just seemed really screwed. Sorry, let's go back to this.
Yes, although part of the plea agreement appears to be that Ms. Hildebrandt will not contest a prison sentence.
Correct.
Is that right?
That is correct. But we are asking for a PSI.
All right, then the court orders the preparation of a pre-sentence investigation report and set sentencing at 10:30 a.m. on February 20th.
Same date at Ruby Frankie's. Ruby Frankie's on February 20th as well for her sentencing, and I think it's at 10 a.m. So I wonder what time Jodi Hildebrandt's will be.
Anything else for today, counsel?
Nothing from us, Your Honor.
Nothing from us, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. We'll be in recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ezra McCandles, I want to. I've seen a lot of videos about her. All right, that's it for Jodi Hildebrandt. So with Jodi Hildebrandt, I feel like she's trying to come across as like being like, having sorrow, sadness, but instead of like, I don't know, I guess her like body language doesn't do a very good job at translating it, or at least to me. And I am seeing a side view, maybe I can't see the whole face, but like, do you guys remember when AH was like the times where AH was in the courtroom, and I felt like she was trying to project sadness as well, or like victim, sadness, pity, but like instead her body language was like very opposite of what she was trying to project. Her body language was very like, and it was very like angry. It was like the furrowing of the eyebrows. It was like she was trying so hard to, show people in the courtroom and the audience as well that like, like I am a victim in all of this. I'm really sad, but like her body was just working against her. That's kind of like the feeling that I'm getting with Jodi Hildebrandt, but I mean, I don't know. That's just an observation. Do we have the documents for the plea deal agreement? Let me see if I can search around really quick. So I have the plea agreement for Ruby Frankie, which I actually forgot to save. I'm gonna make sure I save that. Does anyone know where the plea agreement is by any chance? Let's see. Let's go to people's Twitter. Plea agreement. Because someone mentioned it earlier, something about like a cactus. Where did you see that? Or maybe you answered in the chat and I missed it. Oh, did you guys hear about Stephanie Hill? I don't know. There's a video that Court TV uploaded this morning, and I was like, oh, what's going on here? Plagiarism? Apparently, Stephanie Hill, the clerk of court in the Murdoch case, the one there's a lot of drama going on with that right now. But going back to her book, apparently there's a segment where she plagiarized from, I think, like a reporter, and her co-author decided to pull the book down. And I mean, they're just. Oh, did I see Stephanie Hill? Wait, who's Stephanie Hill? Is Stephanie Hill from Twilight? Becky Hill. Wait, okay, I might be. It's that type of morning, y'all. Hi, Crazy Bro Athene. How are you doing today? Hello. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all doing fine. Sorry, I'm trying to see if I could find the. I'm searching through Twitter right now. Oh, JODI HILDEBRANDT will be sentenced at 10:30 a.m. So 30 minutes after Ruby Frankie. Let me add that to my list then. So we have 10:30 a.m. sentencing. Oh, I can't type today. 10:30 a.m. sentencing for Hildebrandt. Yeah, the sentencing will be very interesting. I don't know. I feel like the sentencing will be disappointing. I don't think we're gonna touch 10 to 15 years. I don't know, maybe 10, but I'm having doubts. Okay, so JODI will be sentenced on February 20th at 10:30 a.m. Wednesday hearing marked Hildebrandt's first appearance in court since her initial appearance on the charges in September. A status hearing set to address bail in mid-September was scrapped at the last minute, with attorneys for the women explaining they need additional time to review copious amounts of evidence. Hildebrandt has been incarcerated for nearly 4 months. Both were arrested. Trying to find the plea deal doc. Let's check her Twitter page. Oh, this is, do we want to listen from her attorney? This seems pretty short. Okay, let's listen to this. Breaking. JODI HILDEBRANDT appeared in court this morning, entered a guilty plea in a hearing that lasted all of 4 minutes. Defense attorney Doug Terry is preparing to speak with journalists. What's he going to say?
Because she wants pleas. She decided to plead guilty before Miss Frankie entered into her plea agreement or agreed to cooperate with the state. She has pled guilty because she did not want these children to have to testify. She takes responsibility, and it is her main concern at this point that these children can heal, both physically and emotionally. Please, she decided to
Yeah, that's a lot as it can go. I can't boost audio on this because it's on Twitter, not on YouTube. But Terry says that Hildebrandt made the decision to plead guilty before Ruby Frankie did. Because remember, I was wondering before, I was like, well, I wonder if JODI didn't want to plead guilty. Maybe Ruby was the one who did it first, and that's why she had her court date up first, and that's why she was agreeing to plead or to testify against JODI HILDEBRANDT. But this attorney said that, like, no, she pled guilty before Ruby Frankie did. He said his client's plea represents her effort to take responsibility and allow minor victims to avoid having to testify in the trial. If you guys can hear that audio, when this video goes live, I'm going to boost audio in the video instead. So sorry about that. I can't do anything with Twitter, or I don't know if there's an extension to boost audio on Twitter. I don't use Twitter. Prosecutors explained that a deal stipulates Hildebrandt will be subject to prison time for each count to run consecutive, not concurrent. Okay, so that's similar to Ruby Frankie's as well. We need the plea deal agreement. Let me see if she posts up on here. I don't see this. What about Court TV? You guys don't watch lawyers on YouTube? There's some good lawyers on YouTube. You say lawyers lie all the time. I don't know if they'll take kindly to that. Let me see if I could find the document. Give me 1 second. Her attorney said that while there were some issues on the factual basis of the plea agreement with prosecutors, he specified that the plea was guilty and not an Alford plea in which the defendant pleads guilty without admitting wrongdoing. Okay. I'm just not sure if she's going to like say like, oh, you know, there are some things in there that I didn't do, but interesting because I've never heard of Alford plea before. Outside of the courthouse following the hearing, Hildebrandt's attorney told media that his client pleaded guilty because she wanted to take responsibility and she decided to plead guilty before Frankie signed her own plea agreement. Like Frankie, Hildebrandt was not offered a guaranteed sentence as part of the plea agreement. Both women are scheduled to be sentenced on February 20th at separate hearings. At the time of the both guilty pleas, attorneys for Frankie and Hildebrandt confirmed that their clients had accepted a yet unknown prison term as part of their sentences. The attorney representing Frankie's estranged husband, Kevin, told, I don't know if I care about this part. I guess I can read it. So Kevin, Frankie's attorney, told Vinnie Politan that the couple had gone to Hildebrandt, who was a licensed mental health counselor, to help with their marriage. The attorney said that Kevin was forced out of the house and into isolation before the abuse began. Hildebrandt's license to practice in Utah was limited after her arrest, and she's not allowed to practice until the charges have been resolved. I feel like Kevin Frankie's trying really hard to be seen as a victim, similar to Adam, who was on the Mormon podcast. But in Adam's situation, it was very, very different, unless there's something in the Kevin Frankie situation that we didn't know. But I could understand why Adam was forced out of the house, out of the relationship, and because there were things that they were accusing him of, and he was essentially, he was walking on thin ice. Not thin ice. Sorry. He was like tiptoeing on like, I don't know, like glass or something like that. What's a phrase for that? But like essentially where JODI HILDEBRANDT, got Adam's wife to accuse him and like made her believe that, he was having inappropriate relationship with like their like toddler baby. And he was like, this is bizarre. And I basically had to do everything that JODI HILDEBRANDT wanted me to do. Otherwise, like I would just be shunned completely. Walking on eggshells. Is that what I'm thinking of? Eggshells? Because I feel like walking on thin ice is different. Walking on eggshells, maybe? I don't know. My brain's at like 20% today. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we don't know. Maybe there are things I don't know about Kevin Frankie's situation, but I feel like he's just trying really hard to align himself with Adam because Adam got a lot of support from people when he came out about JODI HILDEBRANDT. But anyways, let me continue looking really quick because I want to see if there's the plea agreement. JODI HILDEBRANDT plea deal. See if anyone uploaded KUTV. No, I don't think they have it. Walking on Broken Glass. Oh, is it a song? From where? Oh, I found it. Okay, court documents. Okay, so just a little bit of disclaimer. I think there's going to be a lot of things in here that's going to be very disturbing. Similar to what we discussed in Ruby Frankie's plea deal doc. So just a little warning to you guys. I, JODI Nan HILDEBRANDT, hereby acknowledge and certify that I have been advised of and that I understand the following facts and rights. Notification of charges. I am pleading guilty to the following crimes. So we have 4 counts here of aggravated child, up to 1 to 15 years for each one. Count 1, the defendant's action involved the physical torture of RF. Initially, RF was forced to do physical tasks for hours and days at a time. These include wall sits, carrying boxes full of books up and down the stairs, and working outside. Eventually, RF was forced to do outside labor without shoes and in the summer heat. He was forced to stand in direct sunlight for several days, and he was forced to remain outside all hours of the day and night for extended periods of time. These actions result in repeated and serious sunburns with blistered and sloughing skin. RF was denied adequate water for several of the days he was required to remain in the summer heat. He was punished when he was secretly consumed water. He was denied sufficient food, and when given food, he was given very plain meals like rice and chicken, while others in the house ate regular, more flavorful meals. He was isolated from other people and denied all forms of entertainment, including books, notebooks, and electronics. So that count right there is similar to the one that we saw in Ruby Frankie's. In addition, after RF attempted to run away in July, his hands and feet were regularly bound. Binding included being tied to an adult and to weights. Many times, the binding included using 2 sets of handcuffs, one on RF's wrist, one on his ankles. At times, with RF lying on his stomach, ropes were tied to 2 sets of handcuffs together so that his arms and lower legs were lifted off the ground. how could you think this is okay? And Ruby Frankie, because, you know, when I didn't know much about Ruby Frankie, I was like, oh, you know, maybe Ruby Frankie didn't know what was going on. But like, it seems like Ruby Frankie was also actively participating in this. So the biting resulted in injuries to Arv's wrists and ankles where the handcuffs cut through the skin and damaged the muscle chest tissue. These injuries were treated with homeopathic remedies and covered with duct tape. Then the bitings were placed on top of the duct tape. Count 2. The action described above caused severe emotions harm to RF due to the fact that they began in May and escalated to the summer months. Additionally, the defendant, another adult, regularly sought to indoctrinate RF and convince him of that. Is that Ruby Frankie, I guess? And convince him that 1, he was evil and possessed. 2, he needed to willingly be obedient to avoid punishments. 3, the punishments were necessary to repent. He was also told that everything that was being done to him were acts of love. Count 3. The defendant's action also caused severe emotional harm to EF. Other than binding and the instance of abuse RF is subject to, EF was subject to the same treatment as her brother. She was isolated, forced to do tasks, physical tasks, remain outside, denied food and water. She was also repeatedly told she was evil and possessed. The punishments were necessary for her to be obedient and to repent. And these things were being done to her in order to help her. EF was convinced that she was evil and needed to go through these things in order to repent. Defendant's action caused 2 more physical injuries to EF. She was forced to do work outside in the heat barefoot. She was also forced to run barefoot on dirt roads for extended periods of time. EF's feet were repeatedly injured and she was repeatedly sunburned. When examined on August 30th, these wounds were apparent by scabs, blisters, and sloughing skin. Additionally, the defendant either physically forced or coerced EF to jump into a cactus multiple times. That is the part that that last sentence right there was what someone pointed out earlier, that this last sentence was not in Ruby Frankie's plea agreement. This is Ruby Frankie's right here. Let me just look for it. Maybe I missed it, but I feel like I would have remembered that. Yeah, I don't see the cactus part in here. When examined, these wounds were apparent by scabs, blisters, and sloughing skin. So this is Ruby Frankie's. This is JODI Hildebrandt's. I don't understand this. Yeah, I don't know. And Lennox, you might be too young to have it in your normal music trends growing up. I've probably heard it before then. Pam. Yeah, so like the reason why I was thinking about Pam was because remember Pam, she was like, well, I don't really know Ruby Frankie, but I was down to take her kids, you know, because I know if I have her kids over, they can do chores in my house. You know, I have relatives coming to visit and they can help me clean the house and mop the floors. It's like, oh my God. All she cares about is like, oh yay, free child labor. Yay, you know, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, maybe there'll be some other victims, other family members who came out or are going to come out and be like, hey, JODI Hildebrandt did this to me. This is something that was regularly done in our, you know, circle of people or church or something like that. And, you know, it's known that this is a thing. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I think that's, hold on a second. What is all this? Yep. So this part, consequence of entering a guilty plea. Potential penalties. I know the maximum sentence may be imposed for each crime to which I'm pleading guilty to. So 60 years total. Consecutive / concurrent prison terms. I know that if there's more than one crime involved, the sentence may be imposed one after another consecutively, or they may run concurrently. I know for Ruby Frankie, it's going to run consecutively, but plea agreement, the state agrees to dismiss. Defendant shall submit to a pre-sentence investigation with adult probation and parole. Waiver, preliminary hearing, firearm restriction. Damn, she's 54 years old. I have attended the school through 12th plus 7th grade. I can read and understand the English language. Damn, 54 years old. Wild. Wild. Oh, is it? Yeah, I wasn't really sure. Sloughing. I was going to look it up, but I didn't want to stop reading. I was going to have Google tell me.
Slough.
Slough. That's slough?
Slough.
What? Slough? Like fluff, but slough?
Slough.
Sloughing. Sloughing? That sounds weird. Sloughing. Slough. Honestly, I've never heard of that word before. Hi, Moondog. How are you doing today? How's it going? I don't know. What do you guys think? What are our thoughts on this? What do you think they're going to get for sentencing? I feel like, I don't know. I feel like Ruby Frankie is going to be like 4 to 8 or something. I don't know. Maybe 4 years and maybe like another 4 years of probation. Jodi Hildebrand, I don't know. Hoping at least 15. We'll see. Let's see. Petal Storm said, I sat trial with an attorney actually challenged the defendant's testimony that a girl met him and got in his bed in less than 10 minutes. He literally thought that doesn't happen. This was in like 2014. Ruby 4, Jody 8. Oh, sloughing is what a loofah does to your skin? Really? Like if you scrub hard enough? All right, let me go back here. All right, so that's it for Jodi Hildebrand. Again, they are awaiting sentencing February 20th. Sentencing is not going to be determined by the judge or the prosecutor. It's going to go through the Utah's probation office. And yeah, we'll see what happens then. Ruby Frankie's sentencing is going to be at 10 a.m. on February, what did I say, 20th or 10th? I think February 20th, right? And then Jodi Hildebrandt's will be 30 minutes after that. So it'll probably be similar where we are just going to wait for the footage to come out afterwards because it's probably not going to be live stream. But we'll wait for the footage to come out afterwards because, you know, it comes out relatively pretty quick, like I think within 30 minutes. So it's not too bad. And then we'll cover it then. I do want to read some segments of Jodi Hildebrandt's book. I mentioned this earlier because someone posted in the Reddit and they read the sample portion of it where Jodi Hildebrandt goes into like her childhood, her background and stuff like that. And like, I'm like, things are starting to maybe make sense. Not like to justify what she did, but to kind of like understand how the fuck she ended up to be such a twisted ass person. So, but again, people who go through like the trauma that Jodi went through, it doesn't mean you're going to become this, like a child abuser yourself, right? There are a lot of people who went through the same trauma that Jodi went through, and they come out as really good people. And they're very mindful of how they treat the next generation, like when they have kids, right? So like, you know, you can have people who went through traumatic things and they could be assholes themselves when they have kids. Or you can have people who go through traumatic things and they're like, you know what, for the next generation, like when I have kids, I'm never going to do this to my kids. I'm going to be such a good fucking parent because I never want to have a screwed up child, you know? And I feel like there's just different types of people out there. And Jodi just took the wrong fucking path where she decides to just be a really horrible fucking person. And you know, maybe, you know, her being able to manipulate all these families, get money from them, and it was working. It was just reinforcing her negative, her really awful, disgusting behavior. I do want to, sloughing does imply more skin, like a foot mask. It's pretty good. Same thing, exfoliating, sloughing. I heard the loofahs. My brother was like, "Oh, don't use a loofah. They're full of bacteria." I was like, "What am I supposed to use then?" I don't know. I gotta record it. I gotta get something different. According to Jesse, Jodi has been diagnosed with psychopathy. Where did you see that? I listened to Jesse's interview, but I listened to the one that she did on Mormon podcast. I don't know if she did like a recent one. I have a food question. How satisfied do y'all think the jury was with the Timothy Farrah case? Oh God. I think when the jury heard the sentencing, they were like, what the fuck? I know. I do want to watch this before I go though. Because this has been really interesting to me. I don't know. I feel like this whole Murdoch thing, I thought we were done with the Murdoch stuff, but we are not done with the Murdoch stuff. There's still Murdoch things happening. Let's go to, I think I was watching on Court TV this morning. Let's just react to this really quick. Plagiarism allegations. So I said Stephanie Hill earlier, right? Wait, let me look it up. Stephanie Hill. Is Stephanie Hill Twilight? Where did I get the name Stephanie Hill from? Stephanie Hill. Wait, who made Twilight? I don't think. Wait. Author of Twilight. Oh, Stephanie Meyer. Okay, I don't know. I'm just making up people now, I guess. But I want to react this with you guys. I only watched like the first portion of it, so I want to watch the rest of you guys. But the clerk of court, I always get it mixed up. Court of clerk, Becky Hill. Dun 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 dun. This one says court clerk, but someone in my chat was like, court clerk just sounds weird. I'm like, you know what? I do agree with you. Clerk of court. Okay. It's clerk of court. I don't know why I can't remember that. Clerk of court. So, clerk of court, Becky Hill. There's been a lot of drama about her because Murdoch's attorney, they're hoping to get a new trial because they said that she engaged in some impropriety towards the jury. There's some allegations going back and forth. We're waiting to see if there's going to be an investigation of that. I think that'd be very interesting. But not only that, but you know, she wrote a book about the Murdoch stuff, right? And that's what essentially started all this to begin with, because the jury apparently saw the book and they were unhappy about what she said, and then, you know, kind of got angry, and then, you know, they were in touch, they were getting in, they were contacted by the Murdoch attorney, and they decided to come out and say like, oh, well, she did this, she did that, blah, blah, blah. So this book thing has been very interesting because now, not only was the book thing happening and the impropriety again with the jury, but also Becky Hill's son was also, I believe, arrested because he was accused of, I think, like wiretapping conversations. And I heard that Becky Hill's phone was being confiscated. So we don't know what's going on with all of that, but we're just waiting to hear. Clerk of court. I don't know. It's just so hard. Clerk of court. It's hard for me to say that. So I don't know, man. I just feel like there's a lot of things happening, and I'm just like, what is going on? So we don't know if, you know, Becky Hill's son was wiretapping, you know, people's lines, because he works in IT apparently at the courthouse, and, you know, maybe he was trying to aid his mom into something, or maybe it's unrelated. I'm not really quite sure what's going on there. But not only that, there's also some plagiarism allegations. So when this whole thing came out, I remember Becky Hill didn't make a statement initially when it came with the jury tampering allegations, right? She didn't make a statement yet. You know, she was just probably, you know, getting with her team and stuff like that. But her co-author came out and did an interview with, I think, Court TV. And he was saying that like, oh, we're not getting published. You know, this is self-funded book. We're not getting published with anyone. There's no money, you know, because Harpootlian and Jim Griffin accused Becky Hill, right? Of, you know, doing this book deal because, you know, she wants the monies and all that stuff. But I thought it was interesting how like her co-author went up there and like, you know, like, sort of defended her. But now I think the co-author is, I think the co-author wants to pull the books from the shelves because there's been some plagiarism. And yeah, I don't know, this whole thing is just crazy. I feel like the Murdoch stuff is just like, when I first heard about the Murdoch stuff, it's like, okay, like attorney who's like prestigious in South Carolina, you know, oh my gosh, his wife and son was murdered. Oh, there's a roadside shooting thing. Oh wait, there's some financial allegations stuff. Like, I feel like there's just so much crazy twists and turns and anything involving the Murdoch stuff. And we're still just being sucked into it. But yeah, I want to watch this.
To developments that are new in the case of Alec Murdoch. The Colleton County Clerk of Court, Becky Hill, is admitting to plagiarism. It has to do with the opening of her book about the case.
And I know you guys were like, don't read her book, Corgi, don't read her book. I kind of want to read her book, okay? I want to see what the plagiarism is. And, you know, honestly, even though we read like segments of it, I was like, okay, this book seems very like poorly written. It seems like, you know, it's like a teenager diary. I kind of want to read it now. I do want to read it.
Not only that, her co-author is stopping sales of the book and is vowing to never work with Hill again.
And this is the co-author that went on Court TV and defended her. And poor guy, he's like, what did I get sucked into?
Neil Gordon wrote Behind the Doors of Justice with Becky Hill and says he recently discovered the plagiarism while he was reviewing emails.
Gordon says that Hill plagiarized a work from a BBC reporter for part of the book's preface. Now, Neil Gordon has notified the reporter and the BBC. Their attorneys are investigating that allegation.
Yeah, big allegation. Becky Hill's attorney, Justin Bamberg, put out a statement on her behalf. Here's what he had to say. Becky Hill is deeply remorseful regarding an allegation of plagiarism that has recently surfaced from her new book, Behind the Doors of Justice, The Murdoch Murders. The pressures of developing additional content under tight time deadlines resulted in Ms. Hill taking material written by BBC.
I gotta read the preface. I have to read the preface. I want to know what part she took from someone else. Like, that's not an excuse. It's like, oh my God, like there was such a tight deadline. Like, I'm just going to steal a segment of someone else's work and just shove it in my book. Like, what? I mean, did the book have to come out like ASAP after the trial happened? I think it could have waited a little bit. Hi, Moondog. How are you doing today? Hi, Storm. How's it going? What have you been up to? You guys playing any games or anything like that? Do you think maybe citations? Maybe she forgot. Maybe she was going to give credit. She forgot to put it in the bottom, in the footnote.
Reporter Holly Honderick and submitting it to her co-author Neil Gordon as if it were in her own words.
Here's more from that statement. Justin Bamberg, on behalf of Becky Hill, says that she accepts full responsibility for this, quote, unfortunate lapse in judgment, and has personally reached out to Ms. Honderick to express her sincere apologies. The self-published book is only available online through Amazon and Audible, and the decision has been made to unpublish the book for the foreseeable future. And
see, I was trying to look for Becky Hill's book. I was like, maybe it's available on Libby, but you know, no, because the book's like not really big enough. And I was like, oh God, it's on Amazon. Like, do I want to buy it on Amazon? Like,
until steps for the book have been identified.
This is huge, and this new controversy, Julia, about Hill comes as Alec Murdaugh's attorneys are asking for a retrial, saying she tainted the jury. But before we talk about all that, a lot to talk about today, let's take a look back at the controversy surrounding Becky Hill.
The defendant will rise. Madam Clerk, you may publish the verdict.
The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, guilty, verdict, guilty, guilty, guilty.
The clerk of court had improper private communications with the jurors, and the subject matter of those communications was the credibility of the defense that the Murdaugh legal defense team put up, and it was the believability of the defendant's own testimony.
Well, the clerk of court does a big job of being a liaison between the judge, the lawyers, the public, the documents that are in a trial. In a case of this magnitude, there's a lot of documents, there's a lot of paper, there was a lot of people that had come together from all over the world. We had people coming from France, England, California, Wyoming, and so many other places, just to be able to open our doors and have everything together.
not all court clerks are clerk of court. That's an official title, not just in the job. All clerk of courts are court clerks, but no. I'm just going to say clerk of court, okay? Oh boy. I feel like I have to draw a diagram for that. Okay, so got it. Okay, so not all clerk of courts are court clerks, but not all court clerks are clerk of courts. Okay, I think I get it. Yeah, I think so. It's like not all golden retrievers. All golden retrievers are dogs. Not all dogs are golden retrievers. Kind of that scenario. Hi, Deanna. How are you doing today? Did I redeem the Overwatch levels? No. How do I do that? I've gone crazy and made a resolution not play more than 200 hours of games next year. No. Actually, no. Are there even any good games coming out next year? Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
For the trial that we were going to have, just a normal, any other day kind of trial was huge. It was epic.
We never considered the likelihood, as reported to us by the jurors, that the clerk of court would go in to the sanctity of the jury room before he testified and tell the jurors, don't be fooled by his testimony, watch out for his body language, and if that is true, which we have every reason to believe that it is, and no reason...
Oh, I found it. Right here. Okay. Uh-oh. Holly Hendrick. So she is the reporter from BBC that Becky Hill plagiarized from. Yikes. On the 12th day of his murder trial, Alex Murdaugh looked bored. Mr. Murdaugh sat hunched at the defense table in the second floor courtroom at the Colleton County Courthouse in Walterboro, South Carolina. He wore a dark blue suit, white shirt, no tie, his thin, rimless glass perched on the very end of his nose. Sometimes he looked up at the witnesses speaking ahead of him, but mostly he looked down. Months in prison had whittled down his formerly heavy frame. Should I make it smaller? Once a towering figure, now Alex Murdaugh looks small. Mr. Murdaugh, 54, was on trial in Walterboro for heinous crimes, execution-style killings of his wife Maggie and his son Paul in their family home. 2 rows behind him in the courthouse sat his other son, 25-year-old Buster, the only surviving member of the Murdaugh immediate family. Amid the spectacle in the trial, the out-of-town license plates, food trucks, media vans crowding the small city, Buster sat very quietly every day in support of his father. Behind him on the rear wall of the courtroom, there is a rectangular-shaped sun stain where a painting used to be, a portrait of his namesake, his great-grandfather, Rudolph Buster Murdaugh, which had been taken down for the trial. Oh, you know what? Maybe they took it down for the trial, but they put it up afterwards. Because remember, there was a portrait where we're like, oh, does that look like Murdaugh's grandfather by any chance? During the sentencing. For nearly a century, the Murdaugh family dominated the rural pockets of South Carolina, a flat expanse of marshlands, palm trees, white clapboards, churches, porch ring houses. 3 generations of Murdaugh men had survived as chief prosecutor of a local judicial circuit, a 3,200 square mile stretch in the state's south, while running a private litigation firm that made them rich. But according to prosecutors, Mr. Murdaugh was stealing from that firm millions of dollars over a decade. The murders of his wife and son, they allege, were a desperate attempt to distract from those financial crimes, which were nearing exposure in another case, a wrongful death suit involving Paul. He has pleaded not guilty to these murders. Since his first arrest in September 2021, Mr. Murdaugh's case has become a bizarre, twisted saga featuring allegations of embezzlement, drug abuse, and fake assassination attempt. But it has also exposed the apparently unchecked power of the Murdaugh family in their small community in South Carolina and brought about the undoing of a local dynasty. This is what happens when average people have no checks and balances, said Bill Nettles, former U.S. Attorney for South Carolina, and there were no checks and balances on him. To know South Carolina's low country is to know the Murdaugh family name. For 86 unbroken years from 1920 to 2006, the Murdaugh presided as the chief prosecutor of South Carolina 14th Judicial Circuit. It was the longest such stretch for family control. Sorry, I need my glasses, actually. Hold on a second. I thought I could do this. Okay. Got it. It was the longest such stretch of family control in the United States history. They were the law, Mr. Nettles said. For even longer, the Murdaugh worked at the family-founded litigation firm, amassing a small fortune and building out their dominance in all corners of the low country. Along the highways in this part of the state, large billboards are posted on every mile. Most were fast food restaurants, prayer hotlines, but many were for personal injury law firms, a thriving industry in the low country. And by all accounts, the Murdaugh's firm, Peters, Murdaugh, Peter, L. Roth, and Dietrich, PMPED, was the best. They can get a verdict that would exceed the norm dramatically, said South Carolina lawyer Joe McCulloch, who has faced 3 generations of Murdaughs in court. And when I say exceed the norm, they can turn a $100,000 case into a $1 million settlement. The Murdaugh's judicial circuit had become known in Mecca as plaintiffs, spurring rumors of judicial corruption and jury tampering. At the very least, locals said the Murdaugh stature gave them the upper hand in trial. When people graduate high school, they would send gifts, they paid for funerals and flowers to the people who were in the hospital, Eric Bland said, a malpractice attorney based in South Carolina who was involved in a suit against Mr. Murdaugh. When they got in front of the juries, they knew them. They salted the town with goodwill. The rail company CSX Transportation was sued so often and so successfully by PMPD that the firm's office became known as the house that CSX built. The corporation who could avoid it reportedly skipped the air entirely. From these 2 offices, as both public prosecutors and private attorneys, the Murdaughs established themselves as a de facto authority of the low country. Their influence was not wide. It did not even span the width of a state, but it was deep. In the small insular community where they live, residents said the Murdaugh family ruled. They controlled this area for years and years, said Wally Pragnall, a retired administrator of the Medical University of South Carolina. Oh my God, did she plagiarize this entire thing? This is pages and pages. I was like, maybe she plagiarized, like, I don't know, maybe a quote. Maybe she plagiarized like a paragraph. Like, this is like pages. Oh boy. Okay, hold on. I'm almost done. I just want to read this. Damn. Becky Hill, not looking good. Not looking good at all. Where are we at? They controlled the area for years. We all knew them, said one waitress in town, who also didn't give her a name, saying she didn't want to get into trouble for speaking out of turn. She also didn't want to be recorded. You're just going to have to remember this, she said. They had power, dirty power, and they took it too far. In the 3rd week of the trial, the former chief financial officer of PMPED, Gene Seckinger, described Alex Murdaugh's approach as a lawyer, the art of bullshit. Basically, she said, Mr. Murdaugh joined the family firm in the late 1990s, the 4th generation of his family's legal dynasty. He was successful not from his work ethic, Ms. Seckinger said, but his ability to establish relationships and manipulate people into settlements and clients into liking him. According to colleagues, he was a loud and frenetic presence, always late, always in a rush, keeping different hours of the rest of the attorneys. State and federal prosecutors, supported by testimony from Ms. Seckinger's and others, now say Murdaugh was stealing from the firm, robbing colleagues and clients as nearly as 2011. Since the murders, he's been criminally charged with stealing about $8.8 million from number of victims and has been disbarred. Friends have testified Mr. Murdaugh has confessed to financial wrongdoing, but he has not yet entered a plea in those cases. The prosecutor's argument painted a picture of fraud and theft at a most implausible scale, and a perpetrator convinced of this impunity. Mr. Murdaugh, they allege, stole indiscriminately from the colleagues and clients, the young, the old, disabled, and sick. You look at it from far away, they say it's not possible. There has to be something to prevent abuses and improprieties that ridiculous, said veteran journalist and South Carolina University professor Randy Covington. But the answer is no, there isn't. At trial, Ms. Secretary detailed a dozen of these crimes. Her more than 3 hours of testimony began to sound like a record on loop. Alex stole it, she said again and again. To her right, a weary-looking bailiff appeared to fall asleep, gun still holstered to the hip. According to the prosecution, Mr. Murdaugh's exact methods varied. Sometimes he faked signatures, others he claimed inflated expenses. I wonder if what happened was Becky Hill was in a rush, didn't write her own preface, got someone else to write it on like Fiverr, and then they plagiarized from another reporter, and then Becky doesn't want to admit to that. She's like, oh God, I guess I did plagiarize this. Like, I don't know, or maybe she just straight up plagiarized. Yikes. He siphoned millions by impersonating a legitimate insurance company. Everyone just assumed they were the Murdaughs, so they must be doing it right, Mr. Nettle said. For years, Ms. Second Juror testified she had noticed yellow flags, small irregularities in the files, but the firm was a brotherhood. She said they trusted him. Like, you guys ever heard of like people in your school who got someone else to write their essay, but then they found out that the person that wrote their essay just stole it from someone else on the internet, and that's how the teacher caught them? I wonder if that's what happened. Or did she just plagiarize a whole damn article? Tony Satterfield trusted Mr. Murdaugh too. When Mr. Satterfield's mother, Gloria, the Murdaugh's housekeeper for 20 years, died in a fall at work, Mr. Murdaugh recommended a lawyer he knew he could help them file a wrongful death suit against him. Two of Mr. Murdaugh's insurance policies paid out a total of $4.3 million, but the Satterfields did not receive a dime. They did not even know the case had been settled. Alex Murdaugh, in conjunction with the lawyer he recommended, had kept to himself. I feel like if someone had paid closer attention, they would have figured this out, said Eric Bland, the malpractice lawyer who represented the Satterfields against Mr. Murdaugh. But those kids revered the Murdaughs. They trusted him. Now we're going to talk about a year after Gloria Satterfield died, there was another fatal incident in the Murdaugh family orbit. So it talks about the Murdaugh stuff, about Paul. I'm just going to read it because we're almost done. Late in the evening of 24 February 2019, Paul Murdaugh. Oh my God, wait, did she also copy the format? Because I think like in the UK, their date format is like this, right? Like in America, we say February 24, 2019. I wonder if she also copied the date format. Oh, geez. Let's see. Is this the one that's from the book? Oh, no. Wait, which is the one that's from the book? This is from February 14, 2023. She emailed it to Rebecca Hill. And this is the part that... Oh, this is still an email from February. Oh my God, quick, can we get the book, please? Use a generic service. Oh my God. Okay, I kind of want to read the book now. Because I just want to say that if she word for word copied, the tone of this does not sound like the tone of the portions of the book that I read. Because like I said, when I was reading Becky Hill's book, to me it read like, you know, like, oh, like someone, like, I don't know, like a teenage girl who like went out for the first time and is like really happy that like they're going out to New York and seeing things. Like it was just like meh, whatever, right? I would say like if she copied this word for word, it would sound completely different from what I've read that was in the book. When she was saying that like she went to New York with the jury and like they went on a tour and all the other stuff and the egg lady. Oh boy. Not looking good. Okay, I'm going to read this little part and we're almost done. In the late evening of 24 February 2019, Paul Murdaugh was aboard the family boat when it rammed headlong into the Archers Creek Bridge in Beaufort, throwing 3 of the 6 passengers, all young adults, into the cold water below. One of them, 19-year-old Mallory Beach, was killed. Her body recovered days later in a marsh several miles away. The tragedy would present a problem that Alex Murdaugh could not contain. At the time of the impact, according to the other passengers, Paul had been driving. A blood test would find the 19-year-old blood alcohol level 3 times the legal limit. Taken together, witness testimony from the night from the survivors, authorities, hospital staff renders an image of Mr. Murdaugh hell-bent on insulating his son. He roamed from room to room, they said, trying to speak to the teenagers. If you guys haven't read, there's a Netflix doc about this that did a really good job covering it, in my opinion. And it showed like footages as well with like Alex Murdaugh like at the hospital trying to talk to the victims, and the grandfather was there. The nurse said he was trying to orchestrate something. One passenger, Connor Cook, testified he was told by Mr. Murdaugh to keep my mouth shut. He was scared, he said, them being who they are. It was a test of the system. Mandy Matney, a reporter based in South Carolina who has led the coverage of the Murdaugh since the 2019 crash. Everyone in Hampton really believed that Paul wouldn't be charged. For 2 months, he wasn't. That's crazy to me. But other survivors would all eventually testify that Paul was behind the wheels. And in April 2019, he was charged with 3 crimes, including boating under influence, resulting in death. Looking back now, it may have been a moment Alex Murdaugh's life began to unravel. The family of Mallory Beach hired a lawyer named Mark Tinsley to represent them in a wrongful death suit against Mr. Murdaugh. Mr. Tinsley, who was a bearded and gruff, testified he planned to hold Mr. Murdaugh personally responsible and seek millions in damages. Mr. Beaufort. Mr. Murdaugh claimed he was broke. I don't believe it, Mr. Tinsley said. So Mr. Tinsley filed a motion to compel Mr. Murdaugh to disclose his finances. A hearing in the matter was scheduled for 10 June 2021. Oh my God, it'd be so funny if she copies the same date format. Disclosure revealed his years of corporate fraud. The fuse was lit. All right, last paragraph, chunkies. On 7 June 2021, 3 days after the hearing of his finances was scheduled, Mr. Murdaugh called 911. His wife Maggie and son, Paul, had been shot, he said. From the time the first sheriff's deputy had arrived on the family's 1,700-acre hunting estate, Moselle, Mr. Murdaugh had a theory. My son was in a boat wreck months back. He's getting threats. I know that's what it is. Yeah, and he told the authorities that Paul was getting punched. And when you talk to Paul's friends, they said none of it was ever physical. So Alex Murdaugh was trying to make it into something even bigger than what it really was. Like, yes, he was getting threats and stuff like that, but he wasn't being like physically like attacked or anything like that. Only Murdaugh was the one that brought that up. Many in the Low Country believed him. Colleagues, friends testified they feared for Alex and his older son Buster, thinking they might be in danger. Mr. Tinsley's case was over. If Alex was a victim of vigilante, nobody's going to hold him accountable, he said. Sympathies had changed. Oh, also, remember how we were like, well, if Alex Murdaugh really thought that his family was being targeted, why did he not hire like bodyguards or anyone to protect him? You know who actually hired bodyguards? Fucking Donna Adelson. Apparently, at Dan Markel's, they had a what's it called again? They had a what is it called again? It's like a funeral, I guess. I guess it is a funeral, but there's another term for it. It was like the day after he died. They held a blank for him, a memorial. Yes, memorial. Thank you. They held a memorial for him, and Donna Adelson actually hired. I think she hired like off-duty cops to be like the bodyguards. You know, probably because it looks good and it makes it seem like, oh my God, maybe my family is being targeted. So Donna Adelson actually went as far as to do that. She hired like off a wake. No, I don't think it was a memorial. I think wake is different. Is it, or is it the same thing? I've only been to like one funeral. Shocker. AM exaggerated. But yeah. So I don't know, I just thought about Murdaugh. I was like, oh, Murdaugh didn't do this, but Donna Adelson did. But did she beat the system? Nope. She did not. 3 months later, Mr. Murdaugh called 911, this time to report he had been shot in the head on the side of the rural road. He later admitted to arranging a botched hit on himself so that Buster could collect on his life insurance. As the ploy fell apart, PMPD disclosed they had pushed him out of the firm the day before the incident over the alleged embezzlement. An investigation will revealed that he had been confronted about missing money by CFO Gene Seckinger on June 7th, the day Maggie and Paul were killed. Mr. Murdaugh issued a statement apologizing and entered a drug rehab program in another state. In July 2022, Mr. Murdaugh was arrested in the killings. For 5 weeks now, the Murdaugh family's sordid downfall was drawing early morning crowds to the Walterboro courthouse, a line too long to fit inside. Upstairs, the courtroom's cool air, spectators in suits, sundresses filled row after row of the dark wooden pews that lined the room. At times, the atmosphere felt strangely like a church reception. Mr. Murdaugh's brothers and son milling around, offering handshakes and weak smiles. In this room, at least, sympathies have changed again. In the court of public opinion, Mr. Murdaugh has lost. He did it. I don't think it's even a question, said Deborah Brinkley, who had traveled 2 hours from Aiken, South Carolina to watch the proceedings. But for a century, the Murdaugh family has made an ally out of juries, walking out of courtrooms with the judgment that built their fortune and cemented their influence. Alex Murdaugh's fate will be decided the same way, perhaps the final test of sway in the case where the evidence is circumstantial. There is no murder weapon found, no blood on Mr. Murdaugh's t-shirt that night, and no eyewitnesses to the killings. And observers in And observers in Walterboro have speculated Mr. Murdaugh will take the stand and argue for innocence himself. He still believes he has the power to convince and manipulate regular people, like the jury. And at the end of the day, it comes down to them. So what were they working on? Hello, the Murdaugh text is copied at this Google Doc. The clerk just gave me access to the pool photos, which is great. Lots of Murdaugh and several of the characters I have in the story. I'm a freelance photographer in the area who's available, but I think these will go a long way. I will check in on Friday and take up the edits and production over the weekend. Scheduling the piece next week will be really smart. We'll catch the traffic around the closing arguments, etc., but we'll still be ahead of a verdict. And there are rumors that the defense will call Alex to the stand, which would be a fantastic color to the story, particularly at the end. Thanks very much. I'm pleased I was able to go last week. Why would she? That's so crazy. Oh, man. Why write a book if you can't even write? Okay. I don't know. Because I wonder if her co-writer did most of the writing as well. Geez. Okay. Let's go back to this video. Sorry. This video? Yes.
Reason to believe it is not. There's no choice but the courts to grant a new trial. But immediately in the aftermath of the verdict, we had received information that we needed to look into what happened in the jury room. We started down that road and we met a zone of silence. No jurors would speak to us. And so we were, what I like to call, we were given the Heisman, right? And then when the clerk of court wrote her book, published her book, that zone of silence collapsed. Jurors who obviously were not comfortable with how she handled matters were even less comfortable with her going on a book tour and making money off what she did. That's what was reported to us.
Well, she's trying to make a lot of money. That's the point. I mean, she's trying to make money off of it. She's selling the book. I mean, the question is, was it a successful scheme?
Oh, I found it. Oh, here's the book sample on Amazon. Here's the preface. So we have the foreword. Here's the preface right here. The trial in Colleton County. On the 12th day of his murder trial for the death of his wife, Maggie, and his son, Paul, Alex Murdaugh looked bored as he hunched over the defense table on the second floor. Oh my God, she's copying word for word. Months in prison has whittled down his formerly heavy frame. Once a towering figure, he now looks small. 2 rows behind Alex in the courtroom sat his other son, 25-year-old Buster. Oh my God, dude. You know when if you're gonna plagiarize, you gotta change the words up a little bit. You can't be copying and pasting word for word. Oh my goodness. It talks about the portrait of Randolph Buster Murdaugh. For nearly a century, the Murdaugh family dominated the small pockets of South Carolina. She literally copied and pasted it. The rail company CSX Transportation was sued so often and so successfully by PMPD that the firm's office became known as the house that CSX built. What about the dates? Do we have the dates on here? I want to see if she covered the UK format for dates. April 2019. So she changed the dates. I think that's all that she did. Oh my God. And look, she wrote Rebecca Becky H. Hill, Clerk of Court, Colleton County, South Carolina, 2023. As if she wrote this herself. Oh my God, this is so bizarre. She copied and pasted someone's entire work, changed the date format, and then she wrote this. Hi, I'm Becky Hill. I wrote everything above. Oh, Lord. And then when you read the rest of the book, I don't think the language, it matches at all. It doesn't match the preface. Oh my God, dude. No, I don't think she, let's see. I don't think she changed. I don't think he, wait, chewing gum. Oh, I think maybe she changed some of the quotes here. Okay, I'm seeing some changes. But in July 2022, more than a year later, Alex was arrested in the killings. By then, his life was in free fall. He had been pushed out of the family firm over evidence of theft. Investigation would find that he had been confronted missing money. Oh, okay, this is the same part right here. He admitted to organizing a botched hit on himself so that his surviving son could collect their life insurance. Oh, no. Let me scroll down. What did the last... No, No, the last was, he still believes he has the power to convince and manipulate regular people like the jury. At the end of the day, it just comes down to them. Okay, so she changed like a little bit, but she literally copied most of this. Let's see. Have you noticed he only cries when the jury is looking, said Ruth, who declined to give her last name. She lived in Waterboro and came almost every day. Oh my God, wait, she took a different quote that Ruth had given. It's the same person because Ruth is the one that traveled 2 hours. This is Ruth right here, right? Ruth. But there's a different quote. Did she just make up that quote then? Because how did she get that quote from Ruth? Where's Ruth at? Ruth is somewhere around here. I think it's the same Ruth that, I can't search for the stock. Yeah, there was a person that came to watch the trial and they drove like 2 hours, but they gave a different quote. So I'm like, did she actually get that quote from the person or did she just make it up to change a little bit? It says Ruth, who declined to give her last name. But in this one, I think we do have Ruth's last name. Where is it? Eric Bland. Oh, never mind. It was Deborah Brinkley. Okay, so she got a quote from someone else. So in the original, we have a quote for a Deborah Brinkley. But in Becky Hill's version, we have a quote from a Ruth, but Ruth declined to give her last name. So I wonder if she just made that up. Like, there was no Ruth. It was like, okay, well, I'm just going to make up a Ruth, and she just declined to give her last name. She lived in Waterboro. Wait, no, I think she just literally made this character up. Because, oh my God, dude, Becky Hill, what the fuck? Where'd it go? Oh my God, dude, I think she did just make up that character. Okay, he did it. I don't think it's even a question, said Deborah Brinkley, who had traveled 2 hours from Aiken, South Carolina to watch the proceedings. Hers said Ruth, who declined to give her last name. She lived in Waterboro and came almost every day to watch the trial. I don't know. Maybe there is a Ruth. Or she just made up this Ruth person. Oh, no. And then what does this part say? Word is from someone on the defense team that Alex had been practicing and perfecting his snot and crying display for weeks. I guess we will wait to see if there's any of the twists reveal themselves and take the Murdaugh saga in another surprising direction. Oh, my God, dude. Becky Hill. She has a quote right here, and she credited it to John Grisham from The Client. Oh, I think I watched that movie. Why couldn't she just copy and paste everything that the reporter said and just like, hey, can I use this in your preface? Like, I'm too lazy to write up my own preface. Like, can I just use your quote and I'll give you credit? I'm sure she would have been like, yeah, sure, I'm down. Like, why take it as your, like, look what she did. Rebecca Becky Hill. Oh my God, that's so gross. Okay. Becky Hill, not a very smart person.
I don't know. I mean,
Yikes.
if you've read it, I'm not going to give a book review here, but I don't know that you'd buy the book.
I got to tell you, you asked my reaction. I was pretty.
This is his co-author. Initially, this is her co-author initially when he was like defending Becky Hill. Oof! I hope we get an interview from him.
Upset at what Harpoolian said was the motivation that Becky had. Last time I checked, Simon & Schuster did not send us a check for $200,000. The Gordons and the Hills put up $30,000 of our own money because we felt this was an interesting story to tell. So right away, Vinny, for that to be motivation for her to get a book deal is completely false. We felt it was a story that should be told. I mean, in my lifetime, I'm 59 years old. I don't know that there will ever be another trial like this, and it was my honor and pleasure to work with somebody with such integrity and character as someone like Becky Hill.
Was it Judge Newman or Creighton Waters who called Alex Murdaugh out for crying while defending people in court, how he could turn it on and off? I don't think I ever remember Newman saying that, but there was an interview that Newman did that I didn't watch. I think it was Creighton, because I remember him saying turn on again, off again. Like, I remember him saying that.
All right, Julia, I must ask you, before we go to our great legal guest today, what you think. Because overall, I have said, I think potentially if any of the allegations underlying all of this about Becky Hill are true, that there may be a new trial in the works for Alec Murdaugh. But now you add this plagiarism, and to me that goes directly to the credit.
I do want to point out, though, like, even though she admitted to plagiarizing, it doesn't mean that she's involved in the other shit that she's, like the allegations are against her right now. Because I still think the allegations against her regarding, like, the jury tampering, I'm like, you know, like, from what I've read initially, it seems you know. But, yeah, just because she plagiarized and she admitted to it, I'm not like, oh my God, she totally, you know, jury tampered. No, I still think that there needs to be an investigation to determine that. But it just shows that she's kind of a shitty person.
Ability, and I think it means that why is anybody going to believe anything Becky
lacks integrity? Yeah. But again, there needs to be evidence that supports what Alex Murdaugh's attorneys are saying on those allegations against her. So look at the evidence.
Hill has.
Can't trust Becky Hill because, you know, lacks integrity, but we'll have to look at the evidence.
To say
it can cause a problem. And you know, you look at what Neil Gordon is saying there in the match that we just put on. He's saying something completely different now because he's even shocked. Her co-author says that he is shocked that she would lift something from another reporter. And I mean, how easy is it to find out when someone does that? I mean, it's all you have to do is Google.
Especially in this day and age, it's so easy. Maybe she didn't know. Maybe she's like, you know what? I could just slip this in and no one's going to find out.
What's there in this book, and you'd be able to find that article. So it's really strange. Interesting that she came out through her attorney and admitted it so quickly. When she's denied everything else in this case.
Yeah, and I think it may be because you mentioned it. We were just talking off air, and you said, listen, maybe by admitting that, it's easier to say, but I didn't do all those other things I'm being accused of with jurors.
Man, I sure hope not. When we finally get justice, a criminal that is rich and powerful, Becky messes the whole outcome. Hopefully not. I mean, there's, you know, investigations that's happening right now and stuff like that. So hopefully not. Like, if Murdaugh gets another fucking trial because of this whole Becky Hill shit, oh my God. Oh, God.
Possibility. Let's see what Al Wunsch has to say about it. Joining us now to discuss in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Al Wunsch III, and also Jennifer Brandt in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, family law attorney. So good to have you both on. Al, let me start with you. What do you think is the reason behind Becky Hill so quickly admitting to plagiarism?
Well, the mea culpa is always a great way to go. You go up there and you say, listen, I did it. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I had a deadline that I had to get. And, you know, I mean, let's face it. Plagiarism is like getting in trouble for something you didn't do. So, I mean, that's what you just say is, look, I was panicked. I was told I need to get this done by this date, and I did it. And look, we have seen many great authors.
I'm sorry, but like she could have just emailed the reporter, like, hey, like, you know, would you mind me using your entire article and my preface, and I'll just give you credit for it? Hello? I mean, and ChatGPT was out back then. Get ChatGPT to write it.
Okay. And even a president who has been accused of plagiarism, and they've gotten through it and, you know, rode out the storm. You know, you admit it and you move on.
She admitted to the plagiarism. That's why her co-author is like, okay, well, I'm never going to work with you ever again, and we're going to pull your books out, so we can't sell them.
And that's what she did, which was a smart move on her part. Whether or not that attacks her credibility, I mean, you know, let's face it. You know, everyone has probably copied something, okay, at some point in life on a term paper or on a letter to the editor or to something that you're going to do. I don't think it's a crime. It's not a crime necessarily. It's not something that hasn't happened before. And, you know, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
All good points. But Jennifer, you know, Alec Murdaugh, in his case, it has legs, unlike we've seen in many, many of our trials. And this, to me, is one more thing. Okay, great. She admitted that she did it. Neil Gordon, her co-author, as we just saw, is the one who actually turned her in and said, look, I found this, and told everybody this is what she did. How much, at the end of the day, do you think the plagiarism directly relates to Alec Murdaugh and his murder convictions?
Well, I think his defense team would like to have it relate to his murder conviction and a new trial, but I really don't think it does. It does ruin her credibility. I mean, for sure. And we've already had problems with her with the accusations of jury tampering, and now we have this new issue of plagiarism, which of course she had to admit. I mean, it's provable. The author of the original article could have come out and said, that's my work. So, I mean, I don't think she had any other way to get out of it.
She should have written a book on Judge Newman. Nah. Oh, just don't read a book. I don't know. Maybe read a children's book.
So she admitted it. And I think it just completely ruins her credibility. But to take that to the next step and use it as a basis for Alex Murdaugh getting a new trial after all that we've seen and the amount of time and resources that were devoted to his original trial and all of the evidence, I really don't think that should happen as a result of this issue.
And we'll certainly be paying attention to when that new hearing for a potentially new trial happens. We expect that's going to be at the end of the month in January.
Oh, end of the month in January? Okay, that's not too far away. That's like a month away from us. We got this. Plagiarism. She could have just used ChatGPT. Yeah, Becky Hill. Very disappointing. Very disappointing indeed. But I am very curious to hear more information that comes out about her son as well. And what's going on with that. All right, y'all. So today we covered Jodi Hildebrandt's court appearance today, where she also took a plea deal as well, very similar to Ruby Frankie's, 4 counts. And then we read the plea deal agreement as well, the doc. And there was another additional sentence that was added in hers in regards to, making one of the children possibly jumping into cacti, which is something's wrong with her. I don't know why the fuck she would ever do that. But anyways, and then afterwards, we just talked about Becky Hill, went over the parts that she copied pretty much word for word in her preface from another reporter in her new book. And her co-author, who has been defending her for the past couple months, now realizes that she plagiarized that portion and doesn't want to work with her ever again, has denounced her publicly, and has tried to pull, I think they literally did pull books from being sold. I do see it on Amazon right now, so I don't know if it's like maybe Amazon just has like a stock and they're just like, well, I'm just going to get rid of this and sell it. But I don't think I see it on Audible. I could have sworn, because yesterday I was looking for the books. I was looking at Wendy Adelson's book. I was looking at Jodi Hildebrandt's book, and I was looking at Stephanie Hill's book. And I think it was still available on Audible. It's not on Audible anymore. Becky should write H's biography. Yeah, she can do that. Let her do that. Let her have fun with that. But yeah, so we covered those. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. I'm going to have the video chopped up into 2 separate videos. You guys want to watch it later on. Or if you just want to watch the whole thing and me chatting with you guys, the live stream will be available. Guys, if you guys want to, feel free to join the disc. Oh, you did? You fall into cacti because I was doing dumb kid things. It wasn't most. Yeah, I fell into a like a rose bush. Not a rose bush. It was like a thorn bush before. And I remember I had like a thorn in my head that I didn't realize was there until like days later or something, or hours later. I don't know, as a kid, I don't remember this, but yeah, it's fucking painful. And then I don't know, like I hope Jodi Hildebrandt and I hope Ruby Frankie, I hope they get at least like 10 years. Okay, at least 10 years, at least. But I don't know if that's going to happen with Ruby Frankie. Anyways, join the Discord if you guys like. Discord is like a, hangout spot for all of us. We do have a true crime section. If there's anything you want to share with me, feel free to post it in there. If there's any cases you want me to take a look at. There's a lot of cases that I do want to, I want to do like an extensive, kind of deep dive into them. But right now I'm working on the Adelson stuff right now. And oh my goodness, I posted a video about Donna Adelson on Wheel of Fortune. I have another one with, Wendy, and I didn't know that what's her face, Lori Vallow, she was on, what was Lori Vallow on? Was she on Wheel of Fortune as well? I don't know, but I found Lori Vallow, like a young Lori Vallow, and she talks about her kids on there, like, oh yeah, I have 2 kids at home, Kobe and Tylee, and I don't know. It's so wild to see all these people that are on all these game TV shows. I thought it was hard to get on these game TV shows. Bye, Nicole. Have a good one. Yeah, Happy New Year's, guys. I hope you guys have a happy holidays. Happy New Year. Take care of yourself. Stay healthy. I hope you guys all have beautiful, clear skin. Drink lots of water. And yeah, give all your fur babies all the love and everything. And yeah, guys, I hope you guys have a good one. And I am going to work on some content today. We'll post some videos out. And I don't know. If there's anything else you guys want me to watch in regards to like the Adelson stuff, feel free to send it over. You can post in the Discord. Oh, was it Wheel of Fortune, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, Lori was on Wheel of Fortune. She was talking about her kids. But yeah, I'm still working on the Adelson stuff. And, I thought it'd be kind of interesting if we did a stream together and listen to the podcast, but I've just been doing it on my own. And I was like, maybe I should just listen to it with you guys. Like just do like a really chill stream. Like and we were just like listening to the Over My Dead Body podcast. I've been listening to that. I'm like about, I think halfway through, and it's been very interesting. But yeah, if there's anything else you guys think I should look into for the ADOS and stuff, feel free to post in the Discord. And I hope you guys have a good one. Thanks for joining me on Twitch, and thanks for joining me on YouTube. I hope you guys, we'll see you guys soon. I don't know what's, I don't think there's anything else going on for this week, but I surely should be back like next week. But unless something pops up, I don't know, maybe we'll do a stream this week, but we'll see. All right, y'all. Bye. Have a good one. See ya.